Jessica Brahma channel. I'm delighted you're there, and I'd like to share with you the latest information about the election tribunal. The judges for the election tribunal, the presidential election tribunal, the judges have been announced. These are the judges. I'd like you to take a look. There's only one woman there. So I just want to do a sort of a brief analysis of what to expect as the tribunal resumes sittings on the election tribunal. There were lots of arguments about whether the the tribunal hearing should be, covered live. There have been a lot of arguments about that, and should they really air everything so that we see for ourselves, so that Nigerians can judge for themselves based on what they hear, or should they hold the sittings, in closed spaces where the media will not be able to cover what is going on? But I just want to do a brief analysis based on what we know so far. The justices are Justice Stephen John Ada, Justice Haruna Simon Samani, he is the Court of Appeal President, Justice Monica Dan Mesem, Justice Joseph Iki, and Joseph Abba Bello Mohammed. Actually, the president of the Court of Appeal is Justice Monica Dambam Menson. Excuse my bad pronunciations there. But, the petitions will be determined by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal Court sitting at the Appeal Court in Abuja. So the Appeal Court in Abuja, the Appeal Court president is this woman, Justice Monica Dongban Mensem. That's the woman that is the head. And then you have the other men there with her, the other justices. I've just reeled out their names. The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal is the court of first instance. That's the first how do I put it now? Those are the first set of people that will look at the cases, because if after their judgment, the petitioners can also take it further to the Supreme Court. They can take it to the Supreme Court. So, but this is the first instance, and they have jurisdiction in presidential election related petitions, and they are the judges that will take care of it. If you recall, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Lateef Arowola, had inaugurated 277 election petition tribunal judges. They will preside over matters relating to the elections, the governorship, the national and state assembly elections. And the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal judges, they are yet to be officially declared, really. But what we are speculating here is that these are the people that will sit over it, because they are the ones that have been hearing all the preliminary objections that have been going on. Because so far we've been having all sorts of filing-ins and preliminary objections by the Obi's camp, the Atiku camp, and of course the Tinubu camp. So far, there are 5 petitions against the presidential election. The petitions are from Peter Obi and the Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, and the Action Alliance, as well as presidential candidate Solomon Okumba, Allied People's Movement and its presidential candidate President Chichio J, and Action People's Party. So there are 5 of them that are there now. Officials that are familiar with the developments within the Court of Appeal and the National Judicial Council of Nigeria, they said that the panel of judges had already begun sitting on motions ex parte earlier filed by respective petitioners, and it's most likely that these people will be retained to preside over the cases when the pre-hearing and the full hearing sessions begin at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal. So the panel of judges from the Court of Appeal, who had presided over motions involving the 2023 presidential election, they will likely be the ones to be in the 2023 election tribunal panel, and their names are Justice Haruna Simon. I want us to look at the antecedents of these judges, just to have an idea of who they really are and the kind of judgments they've delivered, or landmark judgments they've delivered in the past. The 64-year-old Justice Haruna Simon Samani is from Bauchi State. He was appointed to the Court of Appeal on July 16, 2010. He served as the chairman of the three-man panel that granted Obi and Atiku's motion to serve Tinubu their petitions by substituted means. This particular justice was the one that allowed Tinubu, permitted Atiku and Obi to serve Tinubu, because Tinubu absconded. He didn't want to be served. You know, when immediately he heard that these people had gone to court, he evaded service. So as long as they didn't serve him, and they had limited days to serve him the court summon, but the court motion, but he dodged. So these people went to court, and they went to this justice. The hearing was, you know, in Justice Haruna's court, and they said to him, look, you have to allow us to serve him through substituted means. You know, you can serve it through the APC office, you can serve it through newspaper publication, whichever way they decide, but there has to be, the man has to grant them this ability to serve the motions by substituted means. And he did. He allowed them to do that. He is a graduate of the Nigerian Law School in 1983, and he started as a High Court judge in Bauchi State in 1998. And Samani has presided over various election and financial matters as a judge, and one of those cases was the one filed by the former governor of Oyo State, Abiola Ajimobi. He was challenging the judgment of 2019 election tribunal in their state, which had on November 19 of the same year upheld that Kola Balogun was the winner of the senatorial election for Oyo State held on February that year. Then Balogun, the winner, polled 105,720 votes to defeat Ajimobi. Ajimobi only got 92,218 votes. But the latter disagreed and approached the Court of Appeal in Ibadan for redress. Ajimobi scored less votes, but he insisted on going to the court. He went to the court for redress. Then Justice Haruna Samani prepared the lead judgment and dismissed Ajimobi's petition for lacking in merit, holding that a person who was not part of a political party has no right to challenge the outcome of its primary. Ajimobi's argument was that, oh, this man that contested and won, he was not really the right person who should run under PDP. He was not the right person. The judge said, you are not a member of PDP. You are a member of APC. Who are you to tell PDP who should have run for them? So that's no reason for you to cancel an election that was won landslide by somebody, by Balogun. And that to me shows the wisdom this Haruna has. It shows that this man has wisdom for him to have come up with that kind of ruling, you know. Then another one, the next judge is Justice Stephen Jonah Ada. Ada is 66. He served as a member of the three-man panel that granted Obi and Atiku motion to serve Tinubu their petition. So he was in that panel that Haruna was in to serve by substitute means. And he is from Dekina LG of Kogi State. He passed out from the Nigerian Law School in 1982, became a federal high court judge in 1998 prior to his promotion to the Court of Appeal in 2012. Ada has passed verdicts on several cases, and one of his landmark decisions was in the appeal filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in 2020 against a trial court decision which partially upheld the no-case submission filed by former President Goodluck Jonathan's cousin. EFCC had taken Goodluck Jonathan's cousin to court for, of course, embezzlement, financial crimes. They said this judge was the one that passed a verdict on that case. And the anti-crime agency had instituted $40 million laundering charge against this man, that he laundered $40 million. But Ada dismissed the appeal, saying that EFCC could not prove the allegation beyond reasonable doubt. Are you getting what I'm getting? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Can you hear what I'm hearing? EFCC had taken this case of how this man looted. He laundered the money, $40 million. Ada said, the judge said, no, you didn't prove it, you know. The trial was in order to discharge and acquit Azibuala and his company in counts 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 because offenses of money laundering were not sufficiently proved, nor the prosecution established any prima facie case against the respondents. We have gone through the records and found that the appeal is lacking in merit, the judge said, and he dismissed it. That was Ada's own ruling. So you make up your mind the kind of judge Justice Ada is. The next one is Justice Abba Bello Mohammed. Bello Mohammed, 62, from Kano State, was part of the three-man panel that granted Obi motion to serve Tinubu their petition by substituted means. He finished from the Nigerian Law School in 1985 and was appointed a judge of High Court of the FCT in 2010. After serving for about 10 years, he was promoted to Court of Appeal on June 28, 2021. Justice Mohammed presided over the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Tribunal in 2019. The PDP governorship candidate, Honorable David Omgadu, had sued INEC and Governor Sule of APC, but Justice Mohammed dismissed the petition for lacking in merit, holding that petitioner's allegation of overvoting and electoral violence could not be substantiated. My brothers and sisters, that's the kind of ruling Justice Bello gave. Justice Joseph Ike is another judge, one of the judges that would partake in this electoral tribunal case hearings. He is from Benue State, and he led in the panel that ordered that INEC should allow Atiku and Obi to inspect electoral materials used during the presidential election. This, for me, is a solid judgment. He was when INEC was dilly-dally and say, we can't give you the materials we used to pronounce Tinubu winner. They said, no, we need to inspect it. You should allow us to inspect it. So he was one that granted Obi and Atiku's desire, their motion to inspect electoral materials used during the presidential election. He graduated from the Nigerian Law School in 1980, became a judge of High Court in Benue State in 1991, appointed as Court of Appeal Justice in 2020, and he was part of the five-man panel that presided over the presidential election petition in 2019, the one between Atiku and Muhammadu Buhari. The panel, of course, dismissed Atiku's case. That's how come we ended up with a Buhari who has run Nigeria aground, who has destroyed the very fabric of our nation, who has, when he entered the seat of power, we had just Boko Haram to contend with. But under Buhari's rulership, the man we say is a general that will help us rout Boko Haram. Under his leadership, we have ISWAP 1, ISWAP 2. Those are terrorists that are taking over parts of northern Nigeria. We have the headsmen killers that he sent to the south, to southern Nigeria with cows to kill and maim and sack villages and set houses ablaze in the middle of the night when people are sleeping. The men that are killing pregnant women, opening up their bowels and killing the unborn in the womb. Those are the set of terrorists that we have in southern Nigeria under Buhari's supervision and leadership. And also, of course, we have the bandits. These ones are just, they have the government's permission. They are allowed to live in forests, kidnap and rape women, kidnap people and kill them, extort money and collect ransoms in hundreds of millions of naira. Nobody can touch them. Nobody can do anything to them. They are allowed. It's permitted for them to do that in Nigeria. Anyway, let me not digress. Another judge is Justice Monica Bolanan Damban Mensem, the Court of Appeal president. Yes, I got that right. She's 66. She finished at the law school in 1980. She was appointed judge of the Federal Capital High Court, FCT High Court, in 1993. 10 years later, she was promoted to the Appeal Court in 2003. She is an authority in criminal and civil procedure law, legislative drafting, constitutional and administrative law, amongst others. One of the high-profile cases she presided over was that of the former chairman of the Federal House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy. That's Farouk Lawan. Lawan was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment in June 2021 by FCT High Court, having found him guilty of bribery in 2012 following the 3-count charge filed against him by the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission. But he appealed to the Appeal Court. In the verdict, a three-man panel led by Appeal Court President Monica did not prove it, said that the ICPC did not prove its allegations in counts 1 and 2, which bordered on how Lawan allegedly demanded 3 million from business mogul Femi Otedola to remove his company from the list of defaulters. She said they didn't prove that very well, so she added that the trial court decision on 2 counts cannot stand. By the judgment, Lawan's jail term was reduced from 7 to 5 years. You remember the story of Lawan. Lawan was a member of the House of Representatives. He was in charge of the committee that was the committee that was in charge of fuel subsidy. At the time, it was said that oil marketers were inflating the fuel subsidy and they were stealing Nigerian government rotten through this fuel subsidy scam. So Lawan's committee was to investigate and find out what really transpired. Rather than go ahead with investigations and expose those involved in the scam, Lawan made a phone call to Otedola and told Otedola, look, your name is on the list. If you can pay me so and so millions, I will remove your name from the list. Otedola said, no, I'm not part of it. I'm not part of it, Lawan. I did. He said, no, your name is on the list. Your name is already on the list. So except you bribe me with $3 million, I will not remove your name from the list. What Lawan did not know was Otedola was recording him, and then he came to Otedola's house to collect the money. He didn't know Otedola had a camera recording how he collected the money from Otedola, and he removed his cap, carried some on his head, and used his cap to cover part of the money and to cover it, and then he put some in his pocket, and everything was shown on video that Otedola had a camera, a secret camera that recorded Lawan in Otedola's house. So what we can now understand from her judgment is she's saying that ICPC, the government agency that prosecuted Lawan, that they could not prove beyond reasonable doubt that it was Lawan that actually requested for the bribe. So Lawan did not request for the bribe, but he went to the house and collected the bribe. Okay, that's fine. So she reduced the sentence from 7 years to 5 years. So that gives you an idea of the kind of judges we are dealing with in the appeal courts, in the tribunal process. When they finish their judgment, of course, the Supreme Court is there for people to go to. And that is where we know that we can't trust the Supreme Court to deliver the right judgment, bent on the evidence. Every one of us saw it happen. We saw the rigging happen in real time. We watched everything happen. But what the Supreme Court does most of the time is when they have an interest in a case, maybe somebody has greased their palm or some things have happened, they are interested in somebody, a particular party winning a case. What they use is technicalities. They use technicalities to throw away the case. So while we are waiting and watching, we just pray that they won't be predictable once again. We heard what happened with Imo State. Imo State, Uzodinma came forth in the elections. He didn't get anywhere close. But they sacked the first person the person won the election. They sacked the second person next to the first, who should have taken over. If you said the first person didn't deserve to win, what about the next person that his votes were next to the other person's vote? They sacked that one. They sacked everybody in the line and gave judgment that Uzodinma should be the governor of Abia, Imo State. And that's why they call him Supreme Court governor, because nobody voted for him. He was never in the reckoning. But that's how the Supreme Court of Nigeria works. They can use technicalities to favor anybody they want to favor.